tell. It's BaseTradeTV.
Alright, so the load screen's a little bit delayed because I tabbed out real quick to put bets up. I almost forgot, guys. We're a society of gambling brutes. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. Okay. So here we are in the first match of the day. It's a best of 3, ladies and gentlemen. I want to stress these two players were invited off of the Ladder Cup Finals. So at the conclusion of Season 1, we had Franskar finish first place. We had RSVP and RSVP second and third. So for this match, we said, like, let's get some of the Ladder Cup Finals involved. Like, originally we had only planned to do one match. It was going to be, like, I think it was Realm versus Innovation in our dream scenario, or another 2 Axiom members if possible. But again, thanks to Loaded Commerce, guys, you can check out in the top left, we were able to get all the players we wanted today and a little bit more, including people from the Ladder Cup. So, again, big shout out to Loaded Commerce before we hop into the matches today. But as we do hop into the match today, spawning here on the left side of Neo Dante's Peak, the coolest freaking map, guys. Ooh my god, look at that stuff. It is the Red Bandit. Alright, and spawning over here on the far right. He's blue, he's Protoss. He's pretty darn good at this game. RSVP. Okay, so RSVP has got a little bit more notoriety to him, I would say, than Red Bandit. And Red Bandit, ironically enough, is a little bit more infamy associated with him. As we see Gas coming up very early with his pool, he opens almost every series that we watch him with Speedlings. Now, in Starbow, Speedling openers are not exactly the most common thing like you expect to see in regular StarCraft. It's not like you have to worry about Reapers, and this is actually kind of a cool feature you're watching right now. The Overseer morphing in without a layer. Still moves pretty darn slow, but it's a little bit faster than an Overlord. So for scouting purposes, it's more effective to morph this and send him flying. Again, with this pool finishing up here and I'm starting to pull off a gas, we will probably see that speed come out, I would imagine. Yeah, there we go. So Red Bandit starting off pretty much the same we'd expect. Now, I said RSVP's got a little bit of notoriety to him, and a big part of that's involved with the fact that he did manage to be the only one to qualify for the Starbow Invitational, that $1,200 tournament from a good few months back at this point. So, again, both these players playing against one another, I couldn't be happier with the outcome of that Ladder Cup Finals. No, this probe might go down. No, probably not. Probably not. Alright, anyways, we'll probably close bets here in a moment's time, guys. So we'll give you another moment or two to get them in because, of course, I did open them a little bit late. Forgot about it. But, probe. Okay, well, it's going to die there in a sec. Back at home, we already got the wall off coming up here. I always forget the shields regenerate differently in Starbow as well. You don't need to be, like, out of combat for, like, the 10 seconds and wait for that regen to kick. But still hasn't scouted his opponent. Now going to scout it with the Lynx, of course, and the Overseer will be nearby to do some further scouting afterwards. But there's a cannon up. There's a wall up. This is, if you were watching a game, you would be like, wow, this looks like regular StarCraft, except the map's a little bit different. Oh, that Speedling tried so hard to get past that cannon. Now, as far as what Overseers can do, by the way, guys, nothing they can do when it comes to layer, and they don't have Contaminate anymore. So they're not exactly the most useful things in the world, but, you know, they can get the job done. Macro Hatchery coming down very early. I like this a little bit better out of Red Bandit, though. So what happened a lot during the Ladder Cup Finals, if you guys missed it, is we saw a lot of players doing these earlier Macro Hatchery builds, but they were placing the third before their natural, and I couldn't get my head around like how inefficient that seemed to me, because you could at least mine off of with 1 drone, 2 drones. You don't even have to saturate it, but this will actually be as part of the wall off, which I like a lot. This is going to add a lot to surface area coverage, and I mean, if we're going to be honest, guys, one of the biggest problems a lot of Zerg players faced with in the early game are Zealot pressures, Zealot counterattacks, speed lots specifically. But a lot of the time, we don't see Protoss players really going straight to speed lots unless they are expecting that Hydralisk bust. Having seen that Macro Hatchery already, this has got to put a little bit of paranoia in RSVP. A, because you got to worry about Hydras coming early en masse, but B, Red Bandit plays a little bit differently than most. In fact, he's already taken a third base. So with 4 hatcheries down and no Hydralisk down, it is a bit worrisome because his opponent is getting that Twilight Council, and RSVP will be looking to get those leg enhancements for the Zealots to make them faster. Now, if you're newer to Starbow and you're not used to seeing it, one of the big things is leg enhancements kind of works like a metabolic boost for Zealots, if you can imagine that. So they lose the actual direct charge ability they have, but instead gain a constant speed boost, which is not a bad thing at all. +1 weapons to time out with this. This is about as standard as it gets when you're playing against what you would expect a Zerg player to do. However, again, Red Bandit's not done the expected. He's gone for this faster third. He took a macro hatchery. And all of this is a little bit worrisome to me because this is a lot of money that could have otherwise been spent into Lings, into Hydralisks, or hell, to an extent, even drones. I mean, 300, that's no cheap amount. Spine crawlers may be a little bit necessary, but the problem with Neodante's Peak is while it is big, it still doesn't give you the rush distance requirement to build spine crawlers late, per se. So this is kind of, well, it's already started off just a little bit different and a little bit odd here for Red Bandit, but he is going for those muscular augments. Layer's been started, and my biggest fear right now is like he's playing this incredibly greedy build. Will he get punished for this? I mean, it doesn't seem like RSVP is looking to gear towards some crazy aggression. He's only just now slapping down the extra gateways, but if he had decided to do something wicked aggressive himself, this could have been very, very badly handled by Red Bandit, because there's no way to get units out in order to deal with this. I guess as well, for those who are newer to Starbow, two other things to point out here, or point out in a big way, is you'll notice there's no injects going off right now. Or, well, there is like kind of an inject to see nurturing swarms the lair, but you can't do like the larva inject and get like that immediate 3 extra larvae. It's different in Starbow, just enhances the rate at which larva spawns, so you have to be a little bit more macro oriented, and that's why we see so many additional hatcheries having been thrown down already. Now this isn't a lot of zealots. Honestly, he can deal with this. RSVP should not even be able to kill this hatchery, if I'm gonna be honest. A couple links may go down, but with the Hydralisks here, they kind of guarantee that it's not gonna be too bad. Oh, you'll notice that recall. It's probably like, what just happened? There's no mothership core. The Nexus comes equipped with the Catering Crystal, which, cool enough, has this ability to recall units, but as you'll notice, it took about 10 plus seconds for these things to actually activate upon warping in. So it's not an ability you really want to use defensively so much as it is like just maintaining units that are across the map. Now we see Stalkers coming in, actually. This is quite cool. Blink Stalkers have proven to be very effective in the past, not just like in and of themselves, and not before they were tweaked or changed, but their retention abilities are fantastic. And once upon a time, of course, in Starbow, they were kind of the worst units you could make as a Protoss player. Now they've come back into fashion a little bit. They tangle with Hydras pretty well, and Zerglings with speed can do a little bit of damage to them, but of course you just blink away and let the Zealots take the shots. But there are spine crawlers coming down. Will this be enough? Lurkers are on the way. There's no detection for this. This army may get in. It may be able to pick off the hatchery, but it will probably soon have to get out afterwards. There's a storm that's been quickly started behind this as well. This will be fantastic, of course. Not only will this kind of shut down Red Bandit as far as actual units go, but it'll even be able to hit the cloaked units that he can't see, the burrowed units, if you will, I should say. But the lurkers do come out, and this base should get held, defended, however you want to phrase this. A couple zealots taking some shots. Lurkers do a ton of damage, of course, with these spikes. But he's got to be careful. These are not exactly mobile units. Uprooting or unburrowing and moving them around is not an easy thing to pull off. The drones were pulled out of this, by the way, so Red Bandit not in a terrible situation after that little bit of harass. In fact, I think only a couple died. Yeah, about 2. But here we go. We're starting to move over to the left side. There's still no observer here, but the observatory's on the way. So it's not like RSVP's kind of forgotten about this by any means. He needs time to get these out. Blink Stalkers, by the way, do have high ground vision innately in Starbow. I know it's a little bit weird to consider. Seems a little bit broken. Believe me, I know that feel. But it's a necessary part of the unit itself. So they're able to get up to the high ground. They could probably walk around, honestly, a lot of the army. Start picking off some drones in the main if you want to segment 4 Blink Stalkers off and get really harassive, but playing it safe for the time being. We got Singularity Charge on the way. This is going to make Dragoons a little bit better. It gives them that extra range moving into the mid-game. And Dragoons are kind of these really nice powerhouse units you really want to have as a Protoss player. RSVP being afforded the opportunity to take his third while this is going on. Does have some major oversaturation on this base. If you guys don't know how Starbow works, you don't need the 22, you don't even need the 16. The mineral patches are a little bit different, and oversaturation is quite inefficient. But the Viper Nest on the way. Now, I don't know if he's going to go straight to Vipers. We got to see some really cool Viper use in the Starbow Ladder Cup Finals. One of the biggest things that they did for the Vipers was, they've changed it. They got this mind control ability. That's kind of cool, whatever, no big deal. The biggest thing is they've got this kind of AoE slow that gets thrown down. It's almost like a time warp that sticks with the units. It's a giant ensnare. Think of it actually more like a fungal growth that rather than rooting units in place, permanently slows them for, like, I don't know, about 10 seconds or so. It's so good at chasing units down. It's so good for when Blink Stalkers are trying to escape, but they can't. Even a blink won't carry them away. 5 Dragoons, though, at a time. 6 Dragoons, though, at a time. Yikes. Red Bandit might not know it, but he really needs to get his army production up ASAP. He's taking another base. He's gonna put a couple lurkers here, which is, I guess, neat to hold off harass, but he really needs army value. More lurkers are on the way, but these simply won't cut it now that an observer's out. Not unless he's got a way to snipe that off. And right now, there's an overseer or two. He might go for it with the hydralisks, but his army at the moment isn't exactly the scariest thing, and it's fairly spread out. The best thing he's got going for him are these spine crawlers. They're going to assist a lot. We see a war prism looking around and getting to the main. Will awkwardly scout this 4th base, so that's probably an easy free target for RSVP if he wants to take it. But here we go. Zealots unloaded into the main. Jones get pulled out of this immediately. I gotta say, just side note, I think Red Bandit's his reaction times this game is alone is better than like we've ever seen it before. Not losing drones to needless harass. Queen could enrage, I guess, to help with this a little bit. Lurkers. Okay, you know, I'm talking about a big game about his reaction time, but it's awkward and weird. He's checking for ninja bases himself by the looks of it. Finds none. He knows about this army though. No cancel on that hatchery. It's gonna suck a little bit, but he gets the warp prism, so that kind of takes away a lot of the potential harass. We got upgrades coming up in a moment's time, and an Ultralisk cavern is on the way. But will he have time to get ultras out? It's gonna be a really big question. This base is, I don't know. The army is so far out of position. They ran to the main. They ran to the south. He's going for a small counterattack while this is going on. But Red Bandit's gonna have to yield his 3rd in the process. It's a tough choice to make, but it's one he may be forced into. Storms are gonna come down top of these hydralisks, and guys, if you don't know, Starbow storms hit a little bit harder than normal storms. Instead of 80 damage, they hit for 112. Observer's still standing, but a lot of this army's starting to get picked off. It's the reinforcements of these goons that's so scary. He doesn't really have methods to continue holding this. Burrows again. But, you know, there's that observer just kind of chilling him up the base. Had no way to pick this off. He's going to kill his opponent's 3rd, so they trade base for base. But will this be worth it is one of the big questions, because Red Bandit just has no army value compared to that of his opponents. Now, actually, this being said, most of the Blink Stalkers were taken care of, and more importantly, a lot of the Zealots were taken down as well. So Dragoons left remaining. We got Adrenal Glands on the way with level 1 weapon upgrades, which is, I know, weird to see, but kind of regular for Starbow. This Nexus will, in fact, go down, albeit just barely. But Red Bandit also loses his strike force. On the other side of the map, looks like he has managed to rally just enough to live once more, and he holds his 3rd, surprisingly enough. Could have probably picked off that Templar, but would have cost him 2 Hydras. I think he knows that as well. Goon's getting on top of the spikes from these lurkers, gonna help them die a little bit faster, I suppose you phrase it as. We see a pretty even army trade, honestly, the way this works out. It goes a little bit better for Red Bandit because he killed his opponent's 3rd, but RSVP takes a 4th behind this as well, so he's not too deterred by this by any means. There are a couple lurkers. This is awkward. Hey guys, you want just go over here? No? Okay, whatever. Anyways, you guys, big thing about Ultralisks. Again, if you're unfamiliar with Starbow, I know a lot of you guys probably are, but if you're unfamiliar with Starbow, Ultralisks were tweaked quite a bit. One, they're not nearly as big, which means they're not as clumsy, which means their AI works a little bit better. Oh, did he just kill all the probe transfers? Really nice catch there. Sorry, I barely missed that. But yeah, a lot of workers just died over here on the side of the map. They also have Anabolic Synthesis. It's a movement speed upgrade. They don't do splash damage anymore, but they're also significantly cheaper. There's a lot of trade-offs that make Ultralisks more like overpowered Zerglings in the late game, and not really that one unit that can either win or throw a game. They're fantastic. I think they're way better in Starbow, and we'll see how we can utilize them. One big drawback, though, Red Bandit did get caught off a lot in the Starbow Ladder Cup, guys, by having no chitinous plating. Even if you got armor upgrades, you really need that chitinous plating to make Ultras beefy enough to make them effective and worth using. A couple Lings actually get over here on top of the Dragoons. These should help just a little bit. The Adrenal Glands did finish up, so they're attacking quite fast. Those Cracklings go on down, but don't quite kill the Goon. This is awkward. Shoot the Templar! Oh, well, this is going on a fight force over here on the left side of the map. Ultras do get in here on the front lines. And they are quite tanky. They still retain their 400 HP. Zealots don't really stand a chance, but again, their splash damage was stripped away from them. That's why you integrate these lurkers. And Red Bandit, I really like his army composition, but it's just a little too small, I feel. Still 77 over 43 in the favor of RSVP. He doesn't quite have the chitinous plating. He's pushing into a lot of units that he can't really afford to push into right now. This is going to cost him a lot, and disengaging is probably his best option right now. Maybe an Ultralisk left behind? Ooh, yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. Storm's damage is... Storm mechanically still works the same. It just does a little more damage than Starbow. 112, as I said before, instead of 80. Here was a Templar. The only thing Templar really changed with was they lost the feedback ability, but gained their old hallucination ability that we're used to seeing on the Warp Prism. What? Hey, Starbow admins, are you guys watching? What the fuck is this? Warp and Warpism. Oh, it's letting me click the hallucination option. And oh, okay, so it lets me see what they can hallucinate. Okay, so I thought that was a bug. I guess it's just the game hard overlay being cool. But looking to coming from behind, RedBandit manages to get his units around the map. There's lurkers here, there's hydralists here, but again, no overseer to snipe off that observer. If those observers would go down, these lurkers would be infinitely more effective. The only damage is taking those from storms, strangely enough. Trying to warp out some of these goons, saying that this might be a little too much. He loses a good portion of his army. And RedBandit, for the first time in a while this game, gets a really favorable trade. Pushing the rest of them back. He'll probably snipe off a couple more. Honestly, this move speed upgrade for the Hydras is quite nice. Meanwhile, there's still 3 zealots here. This is, again, awkward. But you know what? The thing is, RSVP's kind of gotten away with that 4th. He retook his 3rd without complications. And Dark Templar are now out in play. This is a little bit worrisome for a player who's not really had overseers with his army for a very long time. He's been struggling to take an additional base, once again trying to establish his 4th. But expansions aren't exactly as critical as they are in StarCraft 2. You don't need like 40 expansions to be really, really effective. You can work fine off of 2 bases. Hell, you can work fine, even better off of 3. But again, in Starbow, your economy's a little bit inflated because you mine a little bit better, a little bit more faster. But coming across the map, there are no overseers with this army. The Dark Templar will tear these Ultralists to shred, but not before they kill off a good chunk of these Dragoons. Now on their retreat, once again, RSVP looking to use these cannons to his advantage. Oh, overseer. Is there even Nubinized Carapace? Dude, research Nubinized Carapace, please. Now, strangely enough, he does pick up the observers, but there's no lurkers to use on this side of the field. Just the Ultras and just the Hydralists, but I think those might be enough. Pushing into this 3rd base, the Dragoons have nowhere to retreat to this time. Trying to use the cannons to the best of their abilities. Looks like they will work out in the end. And sent packing and back across the map in this perpetual tug-of-war between these 2 players. Now, it's worth noting, RSVP has this massive bank going for him right now. Really, he could start investing in a second tech path, I feel. His gas count's a little bit lackluster, but that's because Dragoons and Templar are so expensive. But more importantly than this, we have him coming up on level 3 weapon upgrades. Upgrades in Starbow, they kind of seem far and few. You don't see a lot of level 3 weapon upgrades and level 3 armor upgrade situations. It's just not the case. Upgrades are nice, but physical units are always better. As you've noticed, neither player is really maxed out at any point in this game. RSVP is about to for the first time, but RedBandit's playing from a gigantic supply deficit, and this is where I get really, really worried for him. Because, while RSVP's got a large portion of his actual supply in probes, 78 probes between 5 bases is perfectly fine. That's the thing. He's gonna have the capability to remax with very little issue. In fact, if he does max out, we may see Warp Tech for the first time ever in Starbow. If you guys don't know, by the way, the reason we don't see a lot of Warp Tech, it's more efficient to build from gateways, and he's got a lot of them. Warp Tech's only good for warping it instantaneously if you need it, but even then, it's not as instant as it is in StarCraft 2. More links coming up for RedBandit. I don't know, that last engagement may have just been a little too much for him. RSVP is really getting out of control here. He's got a nice attack up here on the top right. Even with the Dark Templar here, he should still be able to get a kill on this Nexus. But even then, is it going to be worth it? Because his new base, his recently established base, is soon to be under fire. There are, oh no, no observers with his army. There's 3 in play, but there's none currently with his army. I think RSVP is about to recognize that small mistake here in a moment's time. As, yeah, lurkers will push these back, strangely enough. Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing too. We do see RedBandit. I mean, a big part of why we don't see more Hydralist production is because you start transitioning into this sort of melee tech. But again, and this is another problem we see a lot of Zerg players face, is like we don't, you know, where's the Dark Swarm to accompany to this? Where's the LOL ranged abilities don't affect me type ability, right? Unfortunately, these probes are the ballsiest probes in the universe. There's no splash damage on these ultras, or this would look way worse. But now caught in a terrible position. This is such a critical part of his supply. He cannot afford to fight this army. Knowing this full well, he goes in full retreat mode, running for his life. Fight or flight. He leaves some units behind to distract the army. Oh, but he's going to go aggressive with this. Wait, no. Is it? Okay, he's just taking an awkward retreat path. I was going to say, is he really going to go for the 3rd? That just seems like such a big mistake. His army value's finally caught up to that of his opponents, but he's going to lose a portion of it here across the field. And that really sucks. Oh, man. Where did Dragoons come from, being asked in chat? From Ire Noob. Well, technically, Ire is dead. Hello? Did you guys not play Broodor? Gosh. No, the A lot of new units are kind of mixed in here. A lot of old units were resurrected as well. Some new ones were created. If we see a Sentinel, I'll be able to showcase that a little more. Arbiters and Dragoons are back for Protoss, as we've seen on multiple occasions so far this game. Lurkers are back for Zerg. There's a lot of cool things to Starbow, guys, and why it's worth checking out. It's a slightly, like, it's a bridged StarCraft. It's got a lot of the same mechanics, but a lot of the old and new ones mixed in. Nice base snipe, though, with these cracklings and a couple ultras. He gets a couple probes with that, too, which really wasn't the big deal. In fact, he's probably doing RSVP a bit of a favor by killing some of these probes, allowing him to get a much bigger army supply, a bigger army value for it, but still maxed out. RSVP looks somewhat untouchable. Red Bandit's sort of hit and run harass tactics are costing him dearly. Again, someone who had about 120 army supply now before, down to 87. I mean, really, really, if he had the larva count, I'm sure he'd rock and roll. But the big problem here, too, Red Bandit's got a lot of lings. One storm clears out lings very easily. Archons will do a ton of damage to this. But he gets a surround on the Templar before these storms go off. He's going to pick off a good chunk of these. He's going to lose his lings to those storms, but he got the Templar first. Base is going to go down, but he retreats off of this with his Ultra still intact. Up here in the top left, we got the Zealot Dragoon sort of mixed squad going on. Still no detection for these lurkers. Oh, wait, there is. Where? Oh, the Observer's like plain sight. I'm just dumb. But Red Bandit's got enough to deal with one of these armies at a time. I just feel not both. The Banelings being integrated into this is a very odd choice, in my opinion. I guess it will be good at kind of thinning out the Zealot herds, but Banelings just aren't that effective in Starbow, guys. They have their place, but their place usually isn't, you know, 50, 30 minutes into a game. One War Prism I'm actually going to float on in here with some Zealots. Ooh. He's actually got nothing here to respond with this. I'm surprised the main's not mined out, by the way, just side note, but still, he's going to have to pull these drones back. A couple lings do flood in. Cracklings can deal with Zealots actually pretty nicely. The Zealots have a really hard-hitting but really slow attack. And I gotta say, guys, by the way, this is probably the best play I've seen out of both of these players. Even better than what I saw in the Starbow Ladder Cup Finals. So I'm really enjoying this game, and I'm glad that they're being so thorough with this. But one thing I'm a little bit worried about is RSVP. Again, like he's finding himself so susceptible to his opponent's attacks. Is this going to prompt a base trade? Oh, that was the most useless banelings ever. Red Bandit's got a new base coming down, but I mean, even if he snipes his opponent, which he didn't, by the way, he can't really deal with this army head on. This is the real frustrating problem to this. And in my head, I'm screaming, where's the Dark Swarm? Where is your complementary ability to all of these wonderful melee units? The Ultralists, the Zerglings, you name it. Middle of the map, though, Archons don't even stand a chance. We get some cracklings coming from behind. Recall gonna go off on some of these. But again, they can't be activated for quite some time. So, nice base snipe there out of RSVP. But Red Bandit takes two more. He's like, Hail Hydra. You know, you cut off one head, two more come, or regrow to take its place. You know, I was a little bit worried too here, guys. The other thing with Neo Dante's Peak is this is like a really cool map, but if these two are taking it to this limit, I guess you could call it, I can't wait to see what some of the Axiom boys, as well as Innovation, can do on this map. Because this is going to be the starting map for every series today. Oh, Top's just got those awkward lings running around. For RSVP, this is another problem too, his army is so immobile. One of the things that kind of, this sounds so stupid because it's not exactly a mobile unit, I almost wish we'd see carriers start getting integrated into this. He's got to recognize by now, Red Bandit's been investing in pretty much primarily melee units only for the last 20 minutes. I don't think any new Hydralists have been made, and if they have, they've been far and few, as we see here. But on the front lines, realizing he just doesn't have enough to take this army on, the tremendous beasts, the behemoths known as Ultralists, are in full retreat. 26 lings coming up behind us, and again, lings, cracked lings, they're so good in Starbow against things like Dragoons, against things like Zealots, but there's Archons, there's Templar. It's going to be really difficult to utilize these on that Remax. He's got to keep these Ultras alive, and if he doesn't have these, the 26 lings coming out will do absolutely nothing. Alright, here we go. We got some links coming into the battle now too. There's still a lot of storms available though. He's gonna have to Terran Marine level of splits to make sure he doesn't take too much damage on these lings. A lot of them picked off before they can even get involved with the fight though. The Archons pushing too hard on the front lines, way better than Zealots. This one actually survives with almost no HP. Well, I guess shields, technically, however you want to call it. 14 shields. He's gonna kill the top left. He's gonna kill the top middle. And as this goes on, Red Bandit's still got a decent economy, but he just doesn't have the production capabilities to stay in this game. Injects are off. Lots of macro hatcheries are down. But I think with his army starting to die out, we're going to see RSVP finally snowball his way to victory. Poor Hydralisks getting destroyed by the Dragoon fire. A couple more ultras and some links coming in, some drones being transferred or pulled, who knows, whatever you want to call it. Again, Lings do such great damage, they just have no HP to support them, so as they get on top of these units, the army starts dying pretty quickly. Even kills a couple before the recall goes down. But can he stop this base from dying? Dragoon's in the hit and run to buy himself a little bit extra time, a little bit extra surface area. I think the hatchery, if focused, will die. Yep. And he's going to try and recall to salvage what he can. Not too bad out of RSVP. Red Bandit down to 38 supply. I don't think he can come back from this situation, guys. I want to be hopeful, and I know Starbow has a lot of comeback situations and more comeback potential than any other StarCraft 2 match or mod or game mode I've ever seen, but this is one of those times where I think he's just too far gone. Yeah, that storm's going to eat up a good chunk of Lings there. More Banelings coming in. The choice for Banelings is like really odd to me. I'm sorry, because I'm sort of lazy dragging around the screen now. But there we go. GG is going to be called. Game number 1, ladies and gentlemen, will go to RSVP.